I'm live. So I smoked a nice joint earlier. I got up this morning. I'm just jumping into it because I just got back from my walk with my dog, and I smoked a joint on it. And during my walking meditations, I practice opening my chakras. And today is a day that is supposed to be celebrated for love, right? It's for 14th. Yeah. I usually avoid looking at the calendar these days. This day from my birth has not been a good day. But I guess that's why I have been doing what I've been doing. It's preparing for this day. Instead of holding in all the bitterness of all the times I've been lied and manipulated and used. I decided to I just wanted to express love, instead of bitterness today. And I thought about, I have this tree that I go and I sit under. This is where I smoked. I've got my medical card, so don't worry about it. I just sat and meditated and thought about the things that I love. My dog. I grew up as a young, youthful, exuberant boy full of life and joy. And all I've wanted to give to people was love and happiness. Give it because I felt it within me. And so my shelter in those times where I have not had those things, or those memories, where they were shared, even if they were for a moment. After everything that's happened, I doubt the genuinity of many people in the world. But that shouldn't stop me from being kind. And kind doesn't mean nice. I think people mistake kindness for niceness. Doing a kindness for someone is revealing the truth to them, pointing out their stupidity, pointing out their actions when they do something wrong. I do the same thing to myself. I am my own harshest critic, but I always strive to do better. I don't excuse my behavior. That was one of the things that my supervisor always said to me, actually, was stop excusing yourself. And I was like, I had no idea what was happening. And so when I would, every time I would question him or ask something, actually, this is this problem with smoking. I forgot where I was going with that. Oh, excuses. Yeah. He would say, just do as I say, not as I do. Or give me some excuse for something. And then he'd come after me for I don't even remember what he came after me for. And he's like, I don't want it was because I didn't show up 15 minutes before 15 minutes. Like something very minute and very pitiful. And I was like, I'm on time. like, And I was like, I take care of myself in the morning. I make sure that I shower. I make sure that I shave. I make sure that I don't smell because we fucking sit in a stinky box all fucking day with diseases and whatever is shared between us. And he's like, I don't want your fucking excuses. And I was like, what? But that always, his response always stuck with me for some reason. And I don't excuse my behavior. I don't think that, 12 years ago, this is the 13th year I'm going into this. 12 years ago on this day, I sat in a fucking seat and pulled the trigger on a house and a child fucking ran into it. On this day, 12 years ago. A day that is supposed to be about love and giving and happiness and celebration. Not like every other day, it shouldn't be that, but this is a day to have special devotion to it, I feel. But they've, instead of having a day like this sacred, you go downtown and everyone's selling fucking chocolates and candies and capitalizing off of it instead of devoting themselves to the Ishta Devata. I really find that sad. And while I was opening my heart chakra, I feel like there's this dagger stuck in my heart. And today I decided I was, I have EMT training. And I know that you pull out, if there's a wilderness EMT training, and we're talking about puncture wounds here. And if there's a puncture wound, you don't take the object out because the person can bleed out unless there's medical professionals there that can stop the bleeding. And I figured that I was going to kick this thing out, pull it out, and whatever was going to happen was going to happen. You don't know if the etheric reflects the physical. Sure feels like it sometimes. But I pulled it out, and it was this, I just bled out emotionally. And I had this vision of my dog dying. And it wasn't a bad thing. It was me putting flowers on his grave. And I love my dog. He's my best friend. I wouldn't have survived all the fucking emotional bullshit had not been for him. After they stole my first dog. And I know the military stole it, or my friends stole him. Someone did. I don't know why they were trying to fucking destroy my heart, but I guess they couldn't. I thought about if today is a day of love and I just want to give it. I just want to give it. And he was so happy. Yeah, it's been so bad outside. We haven't gone down to this grove that I walk to every day, multiple times a day. And I meditate there. And he was so happy. So just, he's 8.5, and he sometimes has problems moving. But he tries all the time. He's got arthritis in his left arm and his back now. He was just so happy. That's what I want to give people. I'll never see why the fuck that's the problem. Why I always end up being the bad guy. Because I just want, in every relationship I've ever had, it's like, I just want to give you what makes you happy. And they never tell me what makes them happy. They just fucking take from me whatever the fuck they want and then manipulate me. And then and I'm always the one who ends up apologizing. I'm always the one who, I mean, I don't try to get back together with them. I try to be, I don't even know why. I just try to be neutral with them. And they treat me like I'm fucking garbage. And I met this girl. I mean, I'm talking about last year. I met 2 girls that I really liked a lot. What I've learned from my therapist is that you see what you want in others, what you desire most, I guess, or what you're seeking. I guess I just don't want to seek anymore. I just want someone who will tolerate the pleasure of my company. It's never even been about sex. I even think that this last girl that he wasn't seeing, I was trying to be friends with her. And I was like, adamantly, no sex. Like, I didn't say it directly, but I was like, as much as I could, I was like, I'm not ready for it. And I just want friendship. And then it was like, I was no longer. No longer worth her time. So I talking to my mother about this the other day. This is the problem of having a young boy who has grown up around women, I guess. I treat all women, if they're not my sisters, I treat them like my cousins. You know? I'm always respectful. I loved my cousins, took care of them. I love, there's this book. I was looking for stuff about dragon alchemy because it's the alchemy of the Emperor of China. And I came across this book called the Enchanted Forest series. And I had read it as a child, and I remember it. It's actually, maybe it's because the Wheel of Time had so many books, but I read this one at the same time I read the first book in the Wheel of Time. And the series is about strong women. And this first book in the series is an improper princess. And she doesn't do things that princesses do. She does what she wants. She learns magic. She learns how to fence and cook and sew and do all kinds of cool things. Like, she's pretty self-sufficient, and she's a princess. She's royalty. She knows she's a princess. She don't give a fuck. And all these knights and princes and people come rescue. Well, what happens is, so they try to marry her off, and she's like, "Nah, I'm not gonna have any." and this really plays into a lot of tropes. I think that's why I really like it. And she's like, "No, I'm just gonna, dragons kidnap princesses, right? And I'm just gonna go, see if a dragon wants to kidnap me." So she shows up to these dragons. She's like, "Hey, anyone want me?" And one of the dragons takes her, and these princes come and knights and stuff and come try to rescue her. And the guy that she was betrothed to comes, and she's like, "No, no, just go away." And they're embarrassed because they're like, "What? You don't want to be rescued? You don't want to be saved?" And she's like, "No, I'm fine. I'm just doing what I want to." And I think that character has always stuck with me. That's what it's like, I loved that. I fucking absolutely loved it. And I think the girls that I end up being with, like, I behave in a manner that reflects what I want in a partner, I think. And I want a woman who's not proper, but a princess. No, 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 no. I don't want a princess. A queen, empress, an unproper one. A goddess does whatever the fuck she wants. But I've searched the world for this type of woman, and I don't think she exists, honestly. People are too scared. We live in an era of fear. Fear is the mind killer. Fear is the small death that brings total obliteration. I will face my fear. And I will turn my inner eye to its path to see where it has gone. And only I will remain. But we live in a world of fear. We live in a world where people don't pursue that ultimate self. I don't know what the military ever thought if there was some sort of conspiracy to break people like me down and conform them. And it's really funny when I tell people of the price that I have paid for what we have done, the soul price and the heart price. I don't think that they understand. They judge and criticize. Right-wing people always tell me, you knew what you signed up for. And in the same breath, they'll go and worship a God that says, love thy neighbor as thyself. And if you love the Lord your God with all your heart, mind, body, and soul, then you fulfill all the laws of all the prophets and all the words of the commandments. And I think that they just don't understand what it means to pay a price. It's like these politicians today, Trump, business people, they don't know what it is to lose things other than a number, money. How about losing something that you truly love? How about losing a part of yourself or having that taken from you? And scouring the world and the universe to try to find it. Holy shit, I just now understand one of the parables that Christ said, the lost sheep. Shepherd has 100 sheep. And one day they're going through a mountain pass and he notices one of them is missing. And he leaves all the sheep because he knows he'll stay there to go and find the lost one. And I remember a question one of the kids asked in a Bible class. She said, if he's had 99 sheep, why did he care about that one? I'll never forget my grandfather's response. And I haven't read the parable in a long time, so excuse my paraphrasing. But he says, if you had lost something that was so precious to you, wouldn't you do anything to get it back? He knew that the rest of the sheep were safe with his dog. But that one was in trouble. And he'd raised it, helped its mother give birth. Of course he would go after. He'd risk it all. But if it fell down a ravine, he'd climb down it, the risk of himself. Knowing his skills, not recklessly, there's always a risk. But he would never, ever want that young sheep to feel lost and alone. And really, the parable makes a lot more sense to people who understand sheep. Sheep are dumb. Really, 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 really dumb. Which is a really apt comparison to many people in our society today. And the dogs are controlling the sheep. He just needs to, most people are sheep or dogs. There's a fucking, oh my God, there's a saying in the military about guard dogs, like they're the guard, the sheep dog. I remember that. And they're guarding against wolves. But sometimes the sheep dogs turn against the sheep. Without the shepherd being there. And we don't really have good shepherds in our society, actually. Which means we don't have well-trained sheepdogs. Which brings me back to the essence of love. The only way to fix that is love. Sun Tzu says that war is deception. Right? When you are waging war against someone else, doing anything possible, you misdirect, deceive. Which is different than combatives, actually. Combatives, you have to master a small set of moves. And it doesn't matter if they know that you can do it, you're going to do it anyway. But war is deception. There's another phrase that says, all's fair in love and war. And if love and war are different, then love is the opposite of deception. And the only way that I see that we can fix all the fucking misery in the world is through love and kindness, not niceties and politics and being proper. Oh my God, PC people, social justice warriors, people, Democrats and Republicans. Geez, just be fucking human beings for once. Just be fucking human beings for goddamn once in your life, and look at another person and accept the fact that they're another human being, regardless of whatever circumstance that they've gone through. And if you have the ability to respond to these people, do not be nice, but be gentle. If you can't do it slow, then you can't do it fast. And I think that, strangely, a lot of the things I learned in martial arts actually apply to love. Wrestling applies to love. But we have to be deliberate in this. You have to approach it with a greater understanding than we have. So as I was sitting in that tree and I was thinking about how what am I going to be without my dog? Because he's my companion. I love my dog. He's like my son, my fur baby. And is losing an object of love in my heart going to make me bitter, hateful? My dog loved me when I hated myself. And the only real creature besides my mother who had. And after I know the military dropped that fucking log on me on purpose. It doesn't make sense otherwise. Everything that's gone on. And when I was laying at home, I had my 9mm and I put the gun in my mouth. And the only thing that stopped me from pulling that trigger was the fact that he was sitting there looking at me like, oh, Dad's getting up. That means that we're going outside. And I had modified my gun to have a hair trigger so that if I even just touched it, it would go off. And it didn't. Or maybe it did in another reality. And I really did kill myself, and this is just hell that I'm living through. And that was my last memory of that, because all I remember is the gun didn't fire, or wouldn't fire, and I was looking at it like, what the fuck? And I just put the gun down, and we went outside. And I came back in, and cleaned my gun, put it away. Next thing I know, my gun was gone. My mother had taken it, actually. I have gone through so much. I don't know why people mock me for it or excuse it. And when they see it, they just pass it by and look at it. I don't need anyone to rescue me from my pain. I just need people to see that it's there, that this is the price that is paid for doing what we've done and how we treat others. But also that I'm stronger than that. There's another Bible. I think it's in the Song of Solomon. Set me like a seal upon my heart, for love is the strongest death. We're so disconnected from that life and death cycle that we spout our foul fucking bullshit on social media and these politicians over in the fucking that are in control of our country don't even fucking care. And these CEOs, I know what all these fucking rich people are doing. They're pursuing fucking immortality. They want to live forever. And I can tell you that none of them are ever going to find it. I promise you. They're going to put themselves in a digital hell when they transfer their consciousness into technology. And that their pursuit of immortality, living forever, reminds me of the story of Ragnarok, Odin's story, actually, more in particular. Odin feared death so much that he went to the three fates to ask to see his death. And he sacrificed his eye in the well of Mimir so that he could attain the knowledge and wisdom to avoid it. And it was his pride and avoidance of death that placed Hela in hell and trapped her there, even though he gave her dominion over all the realm and all the souls but his. Gods. And she was bitter that when his son was killed and he asked for his soul back, she wouldn't give it. And Balder, having been mocked by the gods for being invincible, they didn't realize what other damages that they could do. He was just physically invincible. He didn't want to come out either. So Odin knew that he had to die and sacrifice everything just so his son could live and the damages be undone that he did. I think that's a lesson that all the CEOs and all the world's people in power should understand. Odin was held to his duty unto death. In essence, he gave his life up for love. It was the love of his child and the continuation of mankind he had to sacrifice himself for. All our world's stories and all our world's myths all end in love. It all ends in love, unless it ends in hell. And the second time I tried to kill myself after I spent a year. I mocked death before I met Melissa, which was probably the reason why all that shit happened with her. So I was like, there is no one I could fucking love. And she's like, oh yeah, got me hooked. Stop me from killing myself. Then the real trick was when I was about to fucking seppuku myself on fucking Statue Mountain in Norway, Oslo, Norway. And I cursed the gods and all of creation and every single one of those people who have seen all the pain and suffering in the world, and they have done nothing but stand by and just watched it happen as we gave our lives to nothing, sacrificed for nothing, heart, mind, bodies, and souls. I cursed it all. I apologized to those that loved me. I was too weak to stay in, and the pain was just too much. The heartache was just too much. I didn't know what I was doing other than following the direction my heart was pointing. I avoided danger through my instinct, though I mean, if I was being monitored at all during my stuff and shit, I was walking around because I was all those cities to explore, but also because I was hoping that someone would fucking murder me. Or would give me a good enough fight. I mean, I wasn't gonna let them murder me, but I had so much pent up fucking rage that I was hoping for some mugger or someone or to come along, and I was just going to beat the fuck out of them. Hoping that, I mean, I definitely know that there are people and my body was damaged too, so it wasn't like I didn't think I was gonna win, but I was gonna fucking fight with every last fucking breath. And that was when I gave up. In almost all totality, I gave fucking up. And as I was fucking bringing the dagger down, I had this moment. It was like right here. It was like right there. I had this moment. And it was like, I stopped and it was like, what about your son? And I was like, oh. Now it's funny, but it was like, I fucking raged. I screamed like a fucking wounded animal. And then I drank the bottle of mead that I had and passed out. And then I got up, it was dark, and my body ached. Of course, I had a migraine that day. And it's like when I have migraines, it's like my nervous system is just on pulsing and on fire. My whole nervous system in my body. It's like I felt every single, it amplifies my pain. And I was walking along and I was limping. I had my cane, and the Norwegians took because I didn't have a prescription for it. It's a black thorn. Loved it. As I was walking along, this guy is running through this part of the woods for some reason on this path. He's got these red blinking lights, and I just sat there and watched him. And in my heart of hearts, I took every single bit of rage and anger out on this blinking shadow. In my imagination. And he passed with him. He was so close. I could have reached out, and this is what scared me. Was I was thinking about just reaching out and just I could just right there and crushed his fucking neck, and I just left him blinking lights and everything on the path. I was disgusted with myself. Another innocent killed because of what? Hurt, pain, ignorance. Man was innocent. Well, I wouldn't say innocent, but innocent from retribution from me for the most part. Still hate that country. Full of a bunch of fucking hypocrites. Which is why I'm going to crush it. And demolish it piece by fucking piece. Legally. Through the legal system. Internationally. For my son. My body was... Fuck. It's been so... This is what I really love about one of my critics who makes fun of me for doing backflips. Like, I used to be able to do fucking hundreds. And getting my health back. Every time that I feel pain, every time I feel misery, every time I feel like I don't want to do anything, but I just want to lay down and I want to die, I think about my son. And I get up. I don't want to. I want to give him a world where there is not pain and suffering, but love. But I mean, I can't protect him from the world isn't inherently nasty. It's human beings, and since human beings are probably going to wipe themselves off from the planet, I want to give him everything else, you know. I want to give him a father that I didn't have. I grew up with a bunch of women. Oh yeah, I was talking earlier when I was stoned. My mother, I was talking with my mother about this the other day, and she said it's because I grew up with a bunch of women that I'm like this. Emotional. I don't find it horrid. Actually, I find it relieving. And that it doesn't really... It moves me to do better because I don't want to feel these horrible emotions. Fuck. Who wants to live in misery? Like, hating people? Ugh. You know, in the military... God, if it wasn't for my grandfather's teachings, I would have been fucking demolished by how much hate is spread in the military and how much hate is in the world. And you know what? It's the people that are in the military that deserve the most hate, that perpetuate that, not the people who do the job, who are there to protect others. It's the people who propagandize and who spread the propaganda instead of maintaining their decorum and discipline. And no matter how good you are, how disciplined you are, that shit seeps into you. And you end up hating the wrong people. And you end up using a tool despicably. I know I repeat myself a lot, but I think it's because we need to be reminded constantly, over and over and over again. We forget the memory. Tolkien. Is it Tolkien? The memory of man is short. There's so much pain and suffering in this world. It shouldn't be our job to perpetuate it. It should be our job to find it, the cause of it, and fix it. Why exist otherwise? But for love. I think about my son's mother constantly. She gave me my son, whether she intended to or not. The thing is that I don't think she understood is that I chose to give her my love. I didn't need it. I didn't need to give it to her. I was already on a different path. She saved me twice and destroyed the rest of me just to destroy me. I've been reading, so I had this vision during one of my meditations of Kali. It's very scary one, actually, before I even knew what Hindu mysticism and all that type of stuff was. But I'm meditating on my mom's chair. My mom has this really cool chair. And I'm meditating, really trying to kick open my third eye is what I was doing, not really understanding what that meant, thinking it was like a physical vision type thing. No, it's the inner sight. But I was doing that, and then my mind strayed to Melissa, which this is what, the third eye is like the eye of imagination, the eye of abstractness, being able to see and understand the abstract. I think that's my understanding of it, at least. And I ended up thinking about her, and I had this vision of Kali, and she was terrible. She was standing over my body, and she had my fucking, I didn't have hair, but she had dug her claws into my fucking skull, and she raised her fucking divine sword, and I died, and I fell into, from here, it was like she killed my mind, and I just fell into my heart. And I woke up from that vision, and I was like, holy shit. What the fuck? Is Melissa a demon? Is she a fucking monster? And actually, I've developed this love for Kali. She is, the interesting thing about her is Shiva, Shakti, the god and the goddess. So the god and the goddess were fighting against this demon who had protected himself, where every time his blood spilt onto the earth, demons would pop up and protect him. So Shiva keeps fucking destroyer, goes after this guy, and is overwhelmed by all the demons. And Durga, the mother protectress, the goddess, she sees him fall and feeling overwhelmed with rage, she opens her third eye and transforms into Kali, and her skin turns black as the void, and she destroys all the demons with the light from her third eye. And she holds the demon's head in her hands as she stands over the body of her slain lover, Shiva. I love it. And my mind, or whatever, is like, according to Hindu mysticism, the mind is the illusion creator. And I was, and after getting hurt and having a lot of time to sit and think by yourself, you're like, I overthink and I think. And it was like she just fucking killed it, destroyed it. She's like, don't think, feel. But feeling was too hard, too painful. It was like being in a chamber of broken glass. Oh, okay. Here's a bad memory. Saw. Oof. I remember seeing that movie and having nightmares for months because of my fucking, oh God. I had a friend who was into that type of shit. Now that I understand it, the mind, now that I understand the mind and how sensitive it can be. Ugh. The storage treasure box. But yeah, it was like falling into the pit of glass. And feeling every single shard in there. And the only way that you can fix it is by doing it yourself. Pulling each piece from you. I might use this terms, but I have to give the VA credit, actually, for the times that I went to them in desperation and sucker, I learned and was given an environment to practice this stuff. I learned some good stuff from them, even though I think that I think that they're just mostly ignorant. And it's politicized too. So yeah. Melissa says that I don't understand love. I spend every day thinking about lust. I like the feminine form. I don't like mass. I'm a gay. I'm a dude. I'm not into dudes. I like the way that the feminine form is shaped and fits. But damn me if I didn't have a sensitive heart. No wonder gay men think I'm candy. I used to play D&D with a group of them. And I once went up to one in Missoula and with some friends, and it was about a year ago, actually. It was a heartache. Again, just what is? No, it wasn't a year ago. This spring, summer. Spring, last spring. Maybe a year ago. Close. But this one is just hanging on there. I mean, I don't know how, like, deeply touched emotional, but they always seem to express it. They always seem to express this love and love, however they do. I went up to one of them and I was like, "You know what gets me about you and your kind?" And they, the guy turns like, "My kind?" And I was like, and I stopped and I was like, "How it is that you guys can keep expressing love after all the torment that you've been given?" And the guy was like shocked. I loved it. But I had a pretty. It was holy shit. This might be 2 years ago. Right after I was kicked out of Norway, actually. And I had a pretty deep conversation with this individual, and his boyfriend just stood there and watched them and their friends for a moment. And he was like, holy shit, I can't actually remember his phrasing. Something along the lines of, honey, the woman who hurt you doesn't deserve you, or something like that. And you know what? Having just that wound acknowledged, I mean, that's a salve. That's a love salve. I guess that's why I always, every straight man should have a gay best friend that won't take advantage of them. Because there are predatory people of all races, religions, creeds, whatever, sexual preferences, gender identities, skin colors. We're not isolating a small group of individuals to human condition. Anyways, the weed is worn off. My heart feels better. And it's been an hour. May you find that which you love the most. And when you lose it, may you be comforted in the time that you had it. And may it give you wisdom and understanding for your growth.